We screened some of your speeches and about your history, so people are aware of that. And we have been discussing about the impact of your activity. And maybe you want to address us, tell us something which is just right now important to you and to us as well. And then we will go into a small discussion with you. Is that fine?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I mean, first off, thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate the fact that you guys are interested in our issue as Palestinians. I mean, I personally believe it is every single human's duty in this earth to always be concerned about other people, their rights getting violated, how they're living, because we are living on this earth together, and it is our mission to make it a better place for us. So thank you guys so much for being here. I mean, I'm Jana. I'm 16 years old now. I still live in Nabi Saleh, and still resist the occupation in any way I could possibly resist this occupation in. Here in Nabi Saleh, you might have seen how we live. It is very similar to the life of every other Palestinian living in the occupied West Bank, and pretty similar to the experience of any other Palestinian living in the historical Palestine. Maybe we experience different forms of this colonial system being ruling us, but we all share the same enemy. We all share the fact that our rights are still getting violated. We all share the fact that we are living under an apartheid system who is violating our rights every single day. The Israeli occupation affects our lives from all aspects you could possibly imagine. I mean, I'm currently in Nabi Saleh, and today is a Friday, of course. So you might know that in Palestine, Fridays are our weekends, and the Israeli occupation forces never let us, live our weekends normally. They always raid most Palestinian villages on Friday. So here in Nabi Saleh, the Israeli occupation forces just left the village like a couple minutes ago. There was shooting. They raided the village. They started shooting at houses. My grandma lives with us. We were literally sitting outside, and out of nowhere, there was gas canisters being shot at us from all directions, and we had to take her inside. And so it was scary, and it is unfortunately the same thing that we experience on most of our days living here. And the problem is not it does not only reside in the fact that we live under the system, not only residing in the fact that we experience all this, but also resides in the fact that the Israeli occupation, the Israeli apartheid, settler colonialism is doing all that and not being held accountable. So we are here demanding that this occupation must be put to an end. This system must be stopped. This theft of land, the violations that are happening every day, the crimes that they are committing, they must be held accountable for all of that. And again, I sincerely apologize for being late. My internet was not working. And I truly appreciate your guys' presence. And I hope that you will not only take awareness from this session, but also take with you something that you would like to share with other people in your community, because spreading awareness is one of the most important ways of resistance. And resistance does not only come in going to the streets and protesting. Of course, it's a very effective way of resistance, but there are trillions of ways of resisting this occupation. And I hope that you can take advantage of that, take advantage of your position in this world, your abilities, and your hobbies or whatever you like to do, and invest in that, and be part of making a change in our lives here in Palestine. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jana. Just one aspect is that some of us will come to your place in November together with Daniela and maybe visit you as well. No,
Welcome. You have a house in Nabi Saleh. You can visit us.
Yeah, we heard
anytime.
it also in your speech in the US that your house is free, so many people might
Yes.
come. Yeah.
Literally, anytime you're in Palestine, you guys have a house in Nabi Saleh, and you guys
Yeah,
are
that's
welcome.
very kind. Maybe there are some questions or comments from the round here. Is somebody wants to speak? Yeah. Okay. Lisa.
Yes, hello there. Hi,
Hello.
Jana. Yeah, I have several questions, but I think that it would be too much for this, so I will just reduce it to a few questions. I wanted to ask you something. In a way, how when you started to be a journalist, I mean, how much you wanted to do this and how much you were forced into this? To which extent?
Yes. I mean, being forced into being a journalist, I wouldn't exactly phrase it that way, but I would phrase it in a way where I was forced to live in the situation. From the moment I was born to this moment, I've known nothing different other than my reality of living under this Israeli occupation. And I mean, I personally was born into an activist family. The first story that I remember hearing is of my grandfather being deported to Jordan due to his activism, and my grandma giving birth to my mother with her husband in jail. So I was raised on these stories, I guess, and I was raised to always never accept, the violation of my rights, never be quiet, and always stand up for whatever I believe in. So since I was 3 years old, I mean, I've been living in Nabi Saleh my whole life, and in Nabi Saleh, when I was three, my family, Nabi Saleh is such a small village. It's literally one family, the Tamimi family. They decided that, like our parents and my family, they started thinking of starting a weekly demonstration on Friday where people from the village and like international activists and like people from other villages would gather and walk down the main street, protest, chant, hold flags. And since I was three, every single Friday there would be a weekly protest where my family would go down, walk down the main road, and of course, if you're trying to resist this occupation, you're going to be suppressed. I wouldn't, like, when I was three, I wouldn't go to these demonstrations. I used to stay with my grandma in the house, but my whole family would go. And my house is the first house in the village. So the Israeli occupation forces that were suppressing the protesters on the main street would literally stand right next to my house. So whenever they would start shooting at like the protesters, gas canisters would break my windows and come into my house. I remember the fear. Every single Friday, I would go with my grandma, fill buckets of water, put buckets of water under every single window, because so many times my house was almost going to be set on fire because of the gas canisters targeting my house. And I had all these feelings, and all of what has been going on. I had all these feelings inside me. And I guess the situation, of course, had forced me into being a journalist, but at the same time, it's the fact that it is, of course, my own will that I decide to resist and not stay quiet. But I believe that, even if I would have not been a journalist, I would still, face the same things, because, and it's better to like do something about it than not to do something about it. So, of course, I was forced because of the situation into it, but I truly, want to like be heard, and I truly found it as an effective way of letting the world know how we're feeling and how we're living as Palestinian children every single day. And I really want to do that, and I really want to be heard. So I guess it's a mixture of both. Like if I was living in a free country, I would have not been a journalist. Maybe I would have been something else. But I mean, I've always dreamed of being a soccer player, so I might have been that. But yeah, I guess it's I choose to be that, and I'm very happy that I am privileged enough to be able to even report and to be able to send my voice to the world.
Thanks, Jonathan. Somebody else?
Ahmad from I'm Palestinian from Akka. I born in Lebanon. So I was only let me
Yes, go ahead.
Your voice is a little bit low. Sorry.
شوي بس بالعربي بس هقول لك يعني انت الشيء اللي عم تسويه كثير كثير حلو كثير مجهود
شكراً.
كثير you do very nice job so I cannot you speak very nice you I think you are very strong I don't know what to say exactly because you are very I mean يعني الشيء اللي انت محاوطك يعني والضغط اللي حواليك انت شيء كبير انا فاهم هالظروف هاي هالظرف هذا اللي انتم عم بتعيشوه هلا يعني انا كمان خلقت بالمخيم بلبنان وبتعرفي كمان نحن عم نعاني يعني بهاي الاشياء واحنا بنعرف شو اللي عم بيصير معكم وقديش الضغط اللي حواليكم والمعاناة اللي عم بتصير عليك وممكن انت معرضة بأي وقت لأي اشي لأنه هن ما بيهتموا لا للرأي العام ولا لحدا وما عندي المشكل بيعملوا اللي بدهم إياه وانت بنت عم بتقول الحقيقة بكل اشي وكلامك كتير عم بيكون واضح وقوي ورسالتك ان شاء الله بتوصل وانا بشد على ايدك صراحة وعلى ايد كل شخص بيقدر يوصل صوته بهاي الطريقة القوية الحقيقة اللي بدناش إياها تختفي إن شاء الله.
أكيد.
زي ما قالوا هن الكبار بموتوا الصغار بينسوا هذا الشيء ما عم بيصير هن على فكرة ما عرفوا هن اختاروا الشعب الغلط اختاروا الناس الغلط
والجيل الغلط إن شاء الله يعني
الجيل الغلط إن شاء الله راح اترك مجال للتانيين هاي في عنا كمان اخوه هنا ممكن يحكوا كمان معك.
I would like to add on that. أول إشي شكراً كتير. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm gonna talk in English so everyone would understand. But I mean, for us, of course, we face the occupation directly. But any Palestinian, anywhere in the world is affected by this occupation. And you guys face extremely hard struggles that I mean I cannot even speak about. So إحنا كمان بنشد على إيديكم. We support each other. وإحنا مش ناسيينكم. بالعكس I mean Akka. Let me talk about that. I've been to Akka once in my whole life. As you guys might know, Palestine is divided into many areas due to the occupation, and as a Palestinian living in the West Bank, holding a West Bank ID, I'm not allowed to visit parts of my country that are either Gaza, Jerusalem, or the 48 Palestinian areas that were like Akka and Haifa and Jaffa. Although, for example, Jaffa is 30 minutes away from my house in Nabi Saleh, and I can literally see the Mediterranean Sea from Jaffa, from the rooftop of my house, but I've only been there once. I've been to Akka once, and I was like 10 years old. It was رحنا دخلنا تهريب. And I mean, there's no possible way for us to enter other than entering illegally. And it was the most beautiful experience in my whole life. And I guess it's I hope in one day you guys could come and we could all go to Akka together, inshallah. You know, it's a struggle. It's all of our struggles together that we should always talk about. ولازم نطلع صوتنا وصوتكم and tell everyone that our right of return, we will never ever let go of that, because our right of return is one of our most important and fundamental things that we're demanding for these millions of Palestinians that were raised in refugee camps inside Palestine and outside Palestine deserve to go back to their lands, go back to their houses, and go back to their cities. And inshallah, you guys in your own type of resistance or spreading awareness. You could also talk about that, or talk about your own struggles, because your struggle is millions of other people's struggles. وإحنا لازم نضل نطلع صوتنا ونضل مع بعض ونقاوم. انت تقاوم من برا وانا بقاوم من جوا، عشان بالاخير كلنا نرجع جوا ونقدر نوصل للي بدنا اياه. I really appreciate your words. Thank you so much.
But also you need to know something. The people here, they understand they understand very good Arabic. I
عن
really,
جد.
yeah, and Daniela speak also very, very, very good Arabic, but she's not.
That's great. That's great. But sometimes when I'm talking, like, I just mix Arabic with English so like naturally. So I apologize for anyone if you guys didn't understand. But that's good. And yes, Daniela, when she came, she was like very fluent.
You speak very well.
Thank you.
Everybody understand you.
Thank you.
Just one word. Hi, Jana. I'm Yasser. I'm very proud and very glad to meet you here. And I have to say, I'm not the only one. I'm sure everybody here and many, many people are very proud of you. I just have one question now. How do you feel, or do you experience the way your message is brought out of Palestine all over the world? Do you feel that your message is changing something in the mainstream?
Any tiny step can cause change. So yes, I do believe that my message is causing change, especially since I started. Like, I would get messages and so many people that would come over and would start saying that we never knew about Palestine until we watched your videos. And especially, like, for example, I started when I was 7, so that's like 9 years ago. And for the past couple like decades, the Israeli media was fully in control of the Western media. It was extremely brainwashing their side of the story, which is the very not true, but the very false side was the one that was projected to the world. So being able to literally document what's happening in the ground, just holding my phone and showing the world what's happening from the roof of my house, the window of my room. I guess it is kind of surprising to many people, and I really hope that I'm changing something, and I know that I'm changing something. And this is, I guess, is one of the things that keep me going forward. And seeing that many people are actually taking advantage of our ability to use social media. I mean, we didn't have phones like 20 years ago, so now we are able to actually do all that and resist through social media, through telling the truth, through live recording and recording videos and posting them. I guess it's a very amazing thing that we're able to do, and it's a very effective way of resistance and telling the world the truth about our lives. So yes, I do feel that I'm making a change. Inshallah, I'm making a change. Yeah.
Do you have any connection or any relationship with people in Gaza, for example? Is there any exchange between you?
Geographically, no, I am unable. So
obviously,
yes. So people in Palestine, we have 4 different IDs: West Bank ID, Gaza ID, the Jerusalem ID, and the Israeli ID for Palestinians living in the 48 area.
As I remember, you said in one of your speeches, you said we have to unite or reunite, actually, and this is exactly contradiction of what is happening at the moment. So we have different IDs actually as Palestinians.
Literally. I mean, it is an apartheid regime that we're living under. So they do separate us through land where there are literal apartheid walls separating the villages and cities. They separate us with literally not being able to go anywhere other than the zone they want me to stay in. So no, I am unable to reach Gaza, and Palestinians in Gaza are unable. They're under siege. It's extremely hard for them to get out or for anyone to get in. Even medical cases, it's very, very rare for them to be able to get a permit because they need an Israeli permit to be able to get out of Gaza. And so many people have died in Gaza due to their very serious medical injuries and medical cases where they needed to be treated outside of Gaza because Gaza's hospitals, Israel cuts down their funding, they cut down the materials they're able to get from the outside of Gaza. So they're really unable to treat, bad or high medical cases. So no, Palestinians in Gaza are unable technically to get out. We do interact with them, of course, through social media platforms and stuff. But unfortunately, no, not really.
It's much easier to get in touch with us here in Europe or in the United States rather than in Gaza.
Literally, it's easier for us to go anywhere in the world rather than going to Gaza.
Of course. Thank you so much, and inshallah, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Jana,
Take care. Take good care. Okay?
I wanted to maybe last question to you. Some of us have been involved in the Palestinian solidarity since decades. There's a big up and down of the struggle. This is completely normal. There has always been the political split of Palestinians, which is for sure imposed by the occupation also. But in the last period, there have been reports that on the street and on the popular level, the struggles have been uniting very strongly and very powerfully. And now I wanted to ask, because you're also involved since years, do you feel that this unification and common grounds between the factions, or let's say even superseding or overcoming the factionalization, are becoming stronger? Or what is your feeling?
Yes, I do feel that our unity has become much stronger than the years before. I mean, for example, when my mother tells me about her life during the first and second Intifada and how she grew up, and their ways of resistance and the way their ideologies and their thoughts on what is going on, I feel that this generation has an extremely different point of view on what is going on. So it is much different. Our struggle is much different than theirs, and I think that our ways of resistance have been extremely different, and we're fighting for different causes. Like my mother, she fought her whole life for the two-state solution. For us, we cannot fight for the two-state solution. First off, because it's impossible to do that because of Israel. Like, where are the borders of Israel? 62% of the Palestinian West Bank is Israeli illegal settlements. And second of all, because we cannot compromise. It's our land. So it has been extremely different, especially in the last 2 years, I'd say. You guys might have heard about Sheikh Jarrah in 2021. Of course, the struggle is still going. The neighborhood is, of course, under the threat of being confiscated by Israeli illegal settlers, from Jewish settlers from all over the world that have no connection to this land. So it's been quiet. We didn't have like any intifadas as like the first and second intifadas, like extreme uprisings, but like changing kind of, because the summer of 2021, I remember that with the struggles in Sheikh Jarrah and everything in Sheikh Jarrah, and at the same time there was bombings those that were happening in Gaza and stuff that were happening in the West Bank. At a certain point, we literally, everyone in all of historical Palestine went down to the streets. We had strikes. We didn't go to school. People didn't go to work for a couple of days. And we all were in the streets protesting for weeks. And there were protests organized in Ramallah, in Bethlehem, in Akka, in Lid, in Jaffa, in Jerusalem, even in Gaza, and in other places around the world. And we realized how much power we had in our unity. And this was a different form of resistance where it was youth-led. And in the protests, everyone was literally my age, and it was extremely beautiful to see that, and it was extremely empowering. And I do believe that we have much more of a connection to Palestinians all over the world, and to humans literally that still have their humanity all over the world, much more than the past generations. And it has opened, I guess the summer 2021 has opened a whole different perspective for us. So I guess yes, and of course we're extremely hopeful, because it might be like this, in anywhere around the world. If you like read about revolutions around the world, there's this era where everyone is literally doing nothing. It's a quiet era. So I believe we're transforming from that quiet era to that uprising where inshallah something would happen. And I truly have hope in my generation. Like, I'm trying not to be biased, but I think like we are the ones, we are very strong. We literally, all we care about is making a difference and causing change, and we do not accept anything other than what we deserve. So yeah, inshallah, through this unity, we're going to be able to achieve something.
And we stay together, and I hope we see each other, maybe in Palestine, maybe here, because we are also planning to invite you. You heard about that. Let us see whether this can work out. And we stay strong, and we continue our struggle.
Of course, I'd love to. Of course, inshallah, we see you in Palestine, and I'm able to come to you guys soon. And yes, I mean, I have time if anyone has any more questions. But if you want to end it here, I'm also fine with that. But yeah, I just if anyone has any more questions, I'm totally down to answer them.
Yes, last intervention.
Of course.
I'm Natasha. Thank you so much again for taking the time to meet us. It's so wonderful and an honor to be able to have this exchange with you. I don't really have a question. I just want to, I'm just so full of gratitude and want to express it and say thank you for everything that you're doing, because there's literally no words to describe the level of courage and just the path that you've chosen to work on, and I think we can all agree in this room here. So literally what I only want to reassure you, and I'm sure Daniela is keeping you in the loop anyway, but just to let you know once again that here in Austria, just like in many parts of the world, there is a very committed group of people who will continue to raise not only your voice, but in general the voice of the Palestinian people and their struggle and their fight for freedom.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Thank you so much. And this is what keeps us going. I mean, international solidarity, you guys could not even imagine how empowering that is. We truly appreciate your guys' work, and hopefully we together, all of us, can cause change, and I know we will. And again, thank you so much.
In Palestine, you fight not only with Israel. You fight. I mean, Israel. It's not only Israel. Israel. It's many land, many countries, and yeah. So
exactly, that's one thing. I mean,
that's what I mean. You fight.
And maybe a final word. Billy already invited you here to Austria, but just to say this as well, our houses are open as well anytime.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But adding on your point regarding the fact that we do not only fight Israel, yes, totally. It's a systematic thing. It's systematic colonialism that has been ongoing in the whole world. And putting an end to the occupation and settler colonialism and apartheid in Palestine means putting an end and standing up to colonialism and racism and segregation, all forms of injustice in the whole world. So yes, our struggles are extremely interconnected, and even for you guys, like fighting injustices, any forms of injustices against any people in your countries would truly even affect the forms of injustices practiced on us. So yes, we do indeed call for collective liberation, and we do call for collective resistance against all these systems and against all forms of injustice.
Thanks, Jana. Thanks a lot, and keep in touch. All the
Of
best.
course. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take good care of yourself.
Bye.
Thank you.
الله يهديك ان شاء الله.
مع السلامة. شكرا. شكرا. مع السلامة.
Bye bye. Bye bye.